Welcome to the France 24 Observers. This show is based on our network of observers, ordinary people who are eyes and ears around the world. We begin today with the story of an observer living at an airport, a bit like Tom Hanks in the movie The Terminal. Kokuba is an Ivorian refugee who's lived the past 3 years in Morocco. Now recently he went on a short trip to Mauritania to visit some friends, and when he returned, the police at the airport would not let him back into the country.
Fortunately, I had a toothbrush in my bag, but I don't have my luggage, so I can't change my clothes. There are seats in the transit lounge. That's where I sleep at night, when no one's around. I flip the seats up and lie down. I have a piece of cardboard that I use for sleeping on too. I was coming back from a trip to Mauritania, which is one of Morocco's neighbours. I went there for 4 days to see some friends. When I came back, the authorities didn't want to let me come back home. I say come home because I'm seeking asylum in Morocco. I've been living there for more than 3 years. I have nowhere else to go, no other country, because I can't go back to Ivory Coast. The only reason the authorities gave me is that I have no means of support in Morocco. But I was able to prove that I have a job in Morocco. I have an apartment, I have everything. I'm registered with the United Nations Refugee Agency, and that gives me the right to asylum here. My lawyer went to the courts to show them the documents, and the court ruled in my favour. But the authorities here at the airport refused to acknowledge the court ruling. They're not talking about deporting me anymore, which is good, but they still don't want to let me back into the country.
This story has a happy ending. Shortly after we talked to Kokuba, the Moroccan authorities agreed to let him back into the country. Now on to Senegal in West Africa, to the capital, Dakar. The city is located on the peninsula, surrounded by the sea and beaches. The seafront is quite popular for working out and kicking a ball around. But our observer Mohamed tells us this may soon change.
Today there are kilometres and kilometres of beaches around Dakar. They have an amazing view out over the Atlantic Ocean. The problem is that there's been construction going on for a while on the seafront. It's complete anarchy. There's no control. There's been more and more construction over the last 10 years. Most of it private sector projects. There's also the Turkish embassy. That was a last straw. People heard that Turkey had decided to build its new embassy on the seafront. People were shocked to hear it. Now people go to the site regularly to complain, to tell the authorities to halt construction because enough is enough. Dakar is a peninsula. There's a lot of pollution and not much open space. The seafront is the only place we have to relax and get some fresh air. It's public property that belongs to all the people of Senegal. The government has to help us protect places like this and make sure they don't end up in the hands of a few rich people.
And now on to some other images sent in this week by our observers around the world. First up, Tunisia, where the Interior Ministry showed these photos to journalists recently after an anti-terrorist operation. They said it showed terrorists training young men to go fight in Syria. However, it turns out the young men are scouts, and the photos were taken at a scout camp 4 years ago, before the Syrian war began. Our observer says this incident has exacerbated tensions between skeptical residents and the security forces in areas where they're carrying out counter-terrorism operations. Now to Nanchang in southeastern China, where residents recently had a nasty surprise: pig carcasses floating down the river. Our observer says they're most likely pigs that caught a fatal disease and were tossed into the river by farmers. It wouldn't be the first time it happened in China. Last year, nearly 10,000 dead pigs were found in a river near Shanghai. To Egypt now, the law school at the University of Cairo, where a young woman was attacked for wearing the wrong clothes. She was in tight trousers and a pink sweater, an outfit that some of her fellow students thought was provocative, so they tried to take off her clothes right there in the quad. University officials have blamed the young woman, saying she should have, quote, respected the customs of Egyptian society. Not a word against the students who attacked her. Finally today, seeing in the new year in Iran. On the eve of the Persian New Year, Iranians celebrate by setting fires in the street and then jumping over them as they make a wish. It's a custom that dates back to long before the Islamic era, but it's tolerated by Iran's clerical rulers. It's also celebrated by many of the millions of Iranians who live abroad. That's all for this week, but as always, you can find more reports from our observers on our website, on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and on our mobile apps. See you next time.